Good to see you, Ngozi, my namesake.
Yes, ma'am, proudly so too. All right, now let's talk about, first off, let's get your reaction to the many controversies that seem to have trailed your nomination as, for DG of the World Trade Organization. How would you react to that?
Well, thank you, Ngozi. I don't think there are many controversies. Actually, it's a nomination that is going really smoothly, if I may say so. I heard you saying before that the Egyptian candidate has said that he's the only candidate for the AU and from the AU, and you rightly said that this is not so. And first of all, the WTO has already acknowledged the candidacy of the Nigerian candidate, which is me. And the second thing is that it's absolutely not true what he's saying. And I'm sure that you will find he'll be proven wrong. So I can say that categorically.
That things are going smoothly. How is your campaign for this DG position going? Is it going as smoothly as you expect? And are you getting the right kind of support from the Nigerian government and maybe other agencies, PR agencies, to help you ensure that you actually realize this dream of becoming DG of WTO?
Thank you so much, Ngozi. That's a very good question. I'm very grateful for the support of the Nigerian government. I have to say that both the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Presidency, Chief of Staff, the Minister of Trade and Minister of State Trade, are all working on this. There's an interministerial committee that is helping. However, as you know, it's also good to have some others helping you. And I have to say that now, I don't really have any public relations firm working with me. I have no contract with them. I don't have the resources to do that. There's no money as at now. So I'm just working with a group of friends who have come together. Some of them work with public relations companies in the US or the UK, and they've gathered together to support me free of charge. And that's how I'm managing my campaign.
That's very, very good to know. You do come with very, very intimidating credentials, but in spite of that, you have this opposition from Egypt and even countries like Kenya, but you have already cleared that doesn't seem to be a very strong issue. Now, what really makes you the best man for the job? Forgive that I refer to you as a man. Are you the best man for the job? What exactly stands you out from other candidates?
I'm the best woman for the job. And what stands me out from other candidates, Ngozi, is my experience. This organization, the WTO, everybody acknowledges it needs reform. It's such an important organization for the world. Countries trade their way out of poverty. That's what other countries have used to bring shared prosperity for their people. And so you need someone with experience, someone with political skills, someone with a consensus-building approach, someone who can listen, someone who is a strong manager. And these are all the things that I bring on the table. So I believe that these are needed. If the WTO is to be reformed, you have to have someone who has strong credentials in reform. And it is well known I have a reputation as a reformer, both at the World Bank but also as finance minister of the country. So I think all those things can be brought to bear. I have to say that also my work in trade, I'm a development economist by training, and for 25 years I've been working in trade, in development economics, of which trade is a very strong part of it, and done a lot of reforms, including trade policy reforms. As you also know, as finance minister, I had customs reporting to me, and that is all about trade facilitation. And of course, we worked with the trade minister on the ECOWAS common external tariffs. So there's a lot of experience there combined with the political skills that I said, the diplomatic skills and the managerial skills that I bring. I'm also pragmatic and I'm solutions oriented. So these are all the things I think count well for me and for the organization.
Yes, and indeed, you've also been described as a great international lobbyist. We hope that you will bring that to bear if you do get the job as DGWTO. Ms. Okonjo Iwela, let me put you on hold. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll still discuss more issues around your candidature. Stay with us. Welcome back. My guest is two-time Minister of the Federal Republic and coordinator of the economy. She is the candidate, Nigeria's candidate for DG of the World Trade Organization. Good to have you back, Ms. Ngozi Okonjo Iwela. Now, let's talk about the WTO. What exactly are the fundamental issues of the WTO? Because it's been argued in some quarters that the WTO has even lost its relevance. And then again, you have the trade wars, tariff wars, and all of that. What are the problems with the WTO, and how exactly would you, bring your expertise to bear?
Thank you. The WTO is a vital multilateral organization that guarantees fairness of trade. It guarantees predictability and security for countries to trade in because it's a rules-based organization. And if it did not exist, you would have to invent it. So it is highly relevant. The problem is that it is facing many challenges, and it is those challenges that have to be solved. And that is why you need a DG who is going to work with the members to try to solve those challenges. What do I mean? It needs to update its rules to the 21st century issues. For example, the digital economy, the green economy, the circular economy, all these things have to feature in the rules of the WTO. The second thing it has to take account of, to be more inclusive, how do you get women better taken care of in trade? How do you get micro, medium, and small enterprises, the entrepreneurs, to be involved in the trading system? These are all issues it should tackle. And then there's the dispute settlement system, which is like the jewel in the crown of the WTO. It's paralyzed at the moment. And that has to be reformed and made to work for the membership. So these are a couple of the challenges that have to be confronted. And I believe that they are difficult. It's not easy. You have talked about the differences between members, but building consensus, listening to them, and trying to find common ground. This is something that is important and which I will do.
Another very thorny issue is that China-US issue that seems to be a basket case. How would you solve the problem that is US-China?
Well, let's put it this way. The best way when you have such divisions is to try to build bridges, to try to find the areas where interests intersect. For example, if you talk to the US and China, I think everybody is interested in having a dispute settlement system that works. So there are some common bridges that maybe one could begin to pull together. How do we reform this system so that it can be beneficial to everyone and be the kind of system that brings trust and confidence of every member? So I think the idea is to find common ground, to build bridges. And the amount of experience I've had and the international contacts that I have will hopefully enable me to be able to speak at the right level, to listen carefully to those who lead, and be able to build those bridges with them.
And with the advent of COVID-19, it seems to have widened the gap between the North and the South, and the economic imbalances that are being thrown up with COVID-19. How will WTO help with this, the aftermath of the COVID-19, especially on African countries and other less developed economies?
Well, Ngozi, two things, a very good question. There's one very short-term issue, which is that during the COVID-19, some countries put in export restrictions on the export of pharmaceuticals and even food, some food items. Of course, according to the WTO, if those export restrictions are short-term, that is, they are temporary, they are going to be phased out, they are transparent, and they are proportionate and well notified to members, then that is fine, but they have to be phased out. The member has to show how they're being phased out. So that's one issue. How do we phase out those restrictions that were put in during COVID? Secondly, following the COVID-19, two things. In the longer term, members are discussing what types of tariffs, for instance, should one expect on the medical supplies and pharmaceuticals, and also food items. Some are arguing for it to go very low or to zero tariffs. Others are arguing that maybe they want to start their own industry. This should not be the case. So discussing this and trying to find a medium ground where these items, are well handled in a way beneficial to all members, I think that's one point. The second point is how can trade contribute to lifting the recession, to bringing the countries back to growth. And trade is a very good instrument for that. So with WTO members, the membership can agree on certain areas that will be very beneficial to world trade and development. Trade can become very instrumental. Areas like e-commerce, for instance, if the rules can be updated to allow e-commerce to flourish among the countries, to make sure that those who do not have the connectivity are assisted to have it, to make sure that women, small enterprises, the youth, they're able to participate on this platform. This would be a very good thing for our countries.
I do agree with you, but let's talk about your work with Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. Where do things stand now with the progress on vaccines? And talk to us about that. Where do we, how expectant should we be that vaccine would come up very soon?
Well, thank you, Ngozi. This is a very important topic. I think Gavi has done very well. On June 4th, it had its replenishment and was able to raise $8.8 billion against a target of $7.4 billion, with great solidarity shown around the world. Almost every country coming to support Gavi and its work. And part of that, the resources pledge was for support of the COVID-19 vaccines for COVID-19 to enable Gavi to assist poor countries to get supplies of this vaccine once they become available, once they are proven to be high quality and effective for people to use. So Gavi has launched what is called an advanced market commitment. It's a financial instrument to enable Gavi book millions of doses of vaccines for low and middle income countries so that they do not have to stand at the end of the line when the vaccine becomes available. Secondly, as you know, I'm also WHO envoy on COVID-19 Tools Accelerator. And there, we are working on vaccines, on therapeutics and diagnostics. And there, an organization called CEPI, the Center for Economic Preparedness Innovation, is looking at a series of vaccines. It has a portfolio of about 10 vaccines, some of which are already in trial, in human trials. So we are very, very expectant that, God willing, in 12 months' time, we should have a vaccine. It takes years normally to develop a vaccine. So even the idea of 12 to 18 months is very, very fast. But we are hopeful.
And there is the added concern that Africa may be left behind in terms of this vaccines and access to the vaccines. Now, let's talk a bit about U.S. withdrawal of funding from the WHO. What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, I was going to say something that precisely because of the work we are doing, Africa and the developing countries will not be left behind. We are doing everything to make sure, together with the WHO, with CEPI, with Gavi, all the organizations involved, and many donors, to make sure that Africa and other developing countries benefit from these vaccines. Mm-hmm. With respect to the WHO, I think that the WHO is a multi-member organization, and there are many members who are supporting and who are participating in the work of the organization. And I think that at this point in time, what is important for the world is solidarity. And that is why I was very pleased to say what happened at Gavi's replenishment. Almost So many countries in the world were there, being solidary, pledging support, wanting to fight this pandemic together.
Indeed. Let me ask you a final question before I let you go. Head or tail, in every contest there is a winner and there is a loser. How would you take it if you didn't get this top job at the WTO?
Oh, it would be fine. I think what is important is that we go and contest. People must know that there are people who are qualified from the African continent who can contest. And I think that in itself, being able to show that we are there, being able to show that, this organization for 62 years, in fact, 72 years of its existence, has not been led by an African or a woman. So if it works, fine. If it doesn't work, I feel we've still shown that there are people capable of doing the job. And that's good enough. But
all right,
let me say this.
You can be sure that we're holding out hope for you, Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo Iwela, two-time Minister of the Federal Republic and Nigeria's candidate to the World Trade Organization. We wish you all the very best in this. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight.
Thank you. And anyone who wants to volunteer for helping me on the campaign, again, I don't have any public relations firm I'm working with. Anyone who wants to join my volunteers is welcome. Thank you.
All right, you've got a volunteer here already. Thank you, ma'am. All right.